Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Nikita Lebedev and this is where we're gonna cook some awesome 3D art. Today we'll dive right into making of Malice, who is the manifestation of the dark side of the Fantastic Four's Invisible Woman. She recently joined Marvel Rivals roster. She looks super cool, so I decided to redesign her in my own way, using the video game design and original comic book design as my inspiration. If you love watching art come together, smash that like button and subscribe for more tutorials, time lapses, and creative deep dives. And here we go. As you can see, I'm starting out with a simple sphere and I'm drawing out certain details like eyes, nose, and mouth. It's a much faster way to visualize exactly what you're doing. I create neck and ears by masking and using transpose and move brush to extrude the shape. Then I use mask and extract to create the teeth. The rest of the sculpting is happening by using move brush, standard brush, Damien standard brush. There's nothing special about the tools that I'm using here. As you can see, I like to get into poly painting pretty early on so I have a better sense of the character. The rest of the body I'm gonna be sculpting by masking out parts of the mesh and then extracting them and then getting them into the shape. I will be merging together all those separate parts and dynameshing them together into one single mesh once I'm happy with the proportions. Alright, now we're getting into the fun part. I'm using masking and extracting technique to create her armor, props, and clothes. And it's quite a fun and relaxing process, and I encourage you guys to experiment and have fun during this stage. This is the stage where you should be experimenting and trying out different ideas and not be afraid to make any mistake, because that's how you get to a better design and happy accidents that help you along the way. At this point, I'm just trying to get her warm, get her more clothes going on. So I'm masking and extracting and appending different objects to get this stuff going. When I'm not sure about a design decision that I'm making, I will make a stamp of my older version next to the newer one side by side to see which one I prefer. You'll see me doing this multiple times throughout this time lapse because this technique is really simple but incredibly helpful. As we get further into the sculpting, you will see me using clip brush on certain elements of garments and armor, spikes, etc. to make those nice, crispy, clean cuts. By the way, spikes are a great way to spice up the silhouette. Just vary them in sizes, sprinkle around your character, and wham, you're cooking. As more of those pieces of garment enter the scene, the whole thing starts to take a shape and I get to go to the next stage and I'm detailing certain areas and experimenting further with the secondary elements of the design. Alright, now I'm fixing those poor stubby hands. As you can see, I've extracted the mask and then I duplicated the shapes, dynameshed them together, used clip brush to shape them up, and now I'm duplicating them over and adjusting the palm size to the arranged fingers. It's a little bit of a back and forth process, but it works wonderfully. As the body parts are getting into their final shapes, I am dynameshing them over, fixing those seams and putting this final polish touch on it and moving on. I'm just having a blast here, masking, extracting shapes. Such a fun process. I really don't know what can be better. Now I know. Probably Nutella sandwich would be better. I'm really addicted to Nutella. All right, so here I'm gonna try something I haven't tried before. I extract the hair by masking using the transpose tool. I create clump of hair, I style it nicely, then I duplicate it over, modify, duplicate over, then I dynamesh all the clumps together, and whabam, I got a head full of hair. Well, portion of the head full of hair. And that's exactly the reason why I like to experiment with different tools and techniques and approach the same problem in different ways, because you never know when you're gonna stumble on a new technique and it's gonna be very awesome, and now your whole life is changing for the better. Here I'm experimenting adding some belts to the sculpt, and I removed them later on because they sucked, but I left them here so you can point finger and laugh at my mistakes. I try to progress the whole sculpt fairly evenly. Once most of the shapes are in place, I will go in and detail them further. I try not to over detail one piece over the others. I progress the whole thing at the same time. At least I try to. Hey, always remember to have some fun during sculpting, and if it means just sculpting a pair of Oakleys, well, so be it. I constantly jump around the whole sculpt, and I will detail things here and there and then decide to add a new element or new clump of hair. It's an organic process, and really it's finished when it's finished. Alright, you've probably noticed by now that at different stages of the sculpt progression, I like to turn her head around and look at the camera and make a render. It's because I already figured out the composition that I want to go with, and I'm constantly checking that that specific composition is gonna look crisp. Because if it ain't crisp, what are we even doing here? I zero mesh some of the objects here and reproject details to get some sharper, nicer details in there. Alright, this stage of the sculpt is one of my favorites because I get to, well, really bring to life the whole design, the whole sculpt. And I use, once again, the same old techniques, masking and extruding and using demi standard and standard brushes to get the results that I need. Also, it goes without saying that this is the right time to whip out your awesome references and check with them as you're sculpting all those sexy details. Here I'm using a clip brush once again to clean up the edges of this detail. As I was detailing the armor, I realized that I wanted to have a little bit more layering and interest to the hand design. So I've split the glove into two pieces and slightly extruded one over the other, made it overlap a little bit, so now it's looking much more interesting. It breaks up the silhouette from the front and just overall adds this nice complexity to the design. Here you can see me using mask curve tool to get a very nice and sharp mask edges to then manipulate the mesh. I told you already that I love the spikes, so here we go. I'm adding more right now. The more the merrier. In fact, I'm adding them as studs, but I'm gonna do that and voila, we've got some spikes. With all this seriousness though, it's good to repeat certain elements throughout the design so they are not isolated to one specific area, unless it's a very intentional use in the design. As more and more details are being put in and the whole sculpt is really taking its final shape, I still fine-tune the design and add elements here and there to make sure the whole design language is coherent in the character. Here we got to another fun part in the character making process in ZBrush. We're masking out areas and then applying different noises to those areas. What I usually do is I apply a mask of a tileable texture, fabric, what have you, and then I use noise by mask feature to bring those areas out as much as I need to get the pattern that I'm after. at this stage, I'm adding some final touches to the sculpture, and I noticed that there's something missing in the lower part of the character, and for me that was the red accent, so I'm adding those around her garments here. And now I'm just testing out how she looks. Here I'm applying the familiar technique with the noisemaker, adding textures, testing out how they look, and then using mask by noise feature to isolate those areas and fill them with the colors that I need. Now to really drive the design home, I'm adding the studs to the ear and wabam, we're almost done. Thank you so much for watching my first video tutorial. I really hope you found it helpful and maybe even learned a thing or two along the way. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tutorials like this one. It really helps me out and lets me know that you're enjoying the content. I'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think of the video, if you have any questions or if there are any specific topics or tutorials you'd like to see in the future. Your feedback and suggestions mean a lot and will help me create better videos for you. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep creating and exploring. Bye for now.